I'm Maciej Ogrodniczuk. I'm representing Polish resources and particularly the Institute of Computer Science, Polish Academy of Science from Warsaw. Adam Przepiórkowski, who you may be familiar with, could not be here. He's in Turkey now, so I will try to stand in for him. So the language scene in Poland stands on three legs, and three pillars, and they are the research centers, the industry players, and the open source community. So starting with the research centers, they are scattered all over Poland. They cover to some extent same areas, but they also have specialties. So I would like to show you using the long and boring lists of tools and resources we are making available, these specialties, just to let you have an overview of who is doing what to promote cooperation. So the most prominent, I would say, language research center in Poland is the Institute of Computer Science, Polish Academy of Sciences, which happens to be my place of employment. Starting with some basic tools such as lemmatizers, tokenizers, morphological analyzers or taggers, we are now developing, or we have developed, because these tools are available now. Also the parsers, both shallow and deep, and some more clever tools such as valence dictionaries, and some tools that are being under preparation that go to the semantic level. Our latest project, which ends, it ended in mid-June, was the National Corpus of Polish. That's a huge, I would say, 1 billion size corpus with a 1 million subcorpus that's manually annotated and verified with the Interpretation Agreement principle. So that's what's available now, and in the next 1 or 2 years there will be even more resources available, the better versions of the existing ones, and some more going into this semantic level. So the word sense disambiguation systems or coreference resolvers are on their way, are being financed. For example, the coreference resolution project is financed on the national level. Apart from our institutions, there are more out there, and the second one, which happens to be our partner in CESAR, is the University of Łódź, quite famous for their work with parallel and comparable corpora, as well as information retrieval, information extraction topics, plus the spoken resources. So if you would like to deal with this kind of stuff, it's their specialty. In Warsaw, we don't have the spoken resources that proficient as they have in Łódź. So that's their place. Poznań and Wrocław are famous for their again, speech technology. It's Poznań, speech analysis, synthesis, speaker recognition. I will tell you in a moment how it extends to the business level, because there are successful companies founded by the university people that are selling their software quite successfully. Wrocław, in turn, is quite famous for the WordNet project. There is a Polish WordNet started in 2006 and now being developed with quite interesting technology of automated extraction of synsets from free text. Further places are Kraków, Gdańsk. Gdańsk is quite famous for the finite state technologies. We use them everywhere in Poland. And the University of Warsaw with Janusz Bień, who was what Marco was mentioning a while ago, concentrating on OCR, historical text, and all the tools that relate to Old Polish. And there is also Polish-Japanese Institute of Information Technology that's also dealing with speech and is quite successful in founding a company that's called Prime Speech. So the two other legs of the language platform are the commercial companies And the open source community, of course, I won't tell you everything about all these companies. That's just fields that you might be happy to look at if you would like to find something quite specific. So just a few notable examples. The first company, TIP, is quite known for providing spell checkers and grammar checkers for Microsoft products. So when you use Polish Office, it's TIP there. Ivona, the first one in the third bullet, is quite a successful software that can talk in Polish. So there was recently a contest between Ivona and Microsoft Speech, and Ivona was better. So it's quite a nice piece of software, and we gave them 6 in our language report, the only 6 we have so far. The machine translation, the Poland company is making quite successful Translatica system that's been used by Polish scientific publishers and uses the research people from Poznań University. As far as community things are concerned, we are quite active community, not only in language technologies, but especially the language people are quite active. Polish Wikipedia is quite known in the world. It's now competing with Italian one for the 4th place, the number of articles, of quite good quality. That's also worth mentioning. We have created, the community people have created a general dictionary of Polish. That's this SJPPL. It's quite active, and the author of our language report, Maciej Ogrodniczuk, is an author also of the language tool, that style and spell and grammar checker, that's quite successfully used for many languages. It's now part of the Google Summer of Code for those of you who know something about that. So what's funny about that and what's good is that all 3 communities are interacting together, and the people from the universities are funding companies that are doing business quite successfully, and the people from the open source community are working together both with commercial players and with the universities. Maciej Ogrodniczuk is one of the examples. We also participate in many European co-funded and nationally funded projects. These are just the European ones. The CESAR, of course, is our host here, and MetaNet, because CESAR is part of MetaNet. But there is also a nice project called Atlas advertised in one of the rooms there. Clarin and FlareNet are coming to their end, but I guess, well, the first phase of Clarin, of course, there will be continued on a national level, and we are now applying for funds, so they're not over by any means. I also wanted to show you something about the Polish resources that you can find in the language report, but the tables are quite large, and probably some extract must be made to present it in a more palatable way. So I made 2 tables that may show you the real status of what we have and what we have not. So with the basic resources, as you can see, the basic technologies, we are quite proficient, we are happy with them, and the 5 and the 4 is quite okay for that. But at the bottom of the table shows us that the more advanced things like advanced discourse processing or summarization are still to be done. And summarization is now covered in Atlas, in the 2nd project on my list, and the advanced discourse technologies are now being covered by other national projects such as the Co-Reference Resolution Project. As far as resources are concerned, there are many corpora available, but still the discourse corpora or multimodal data are not really represented the way we would like them to be represented. Another table that goes in different directions just to show the maturity, quantity, availability, the features of the tools, that's also quite important. And as you can see, the 1s and 2s are not, well, something we should be especially proud of, but these 2s and 3s at the end of the table show that there is still a place for improvement, and that's the place where CESAR and MetaNet are coming into way. So we would definitely like to raise these numbers at the end of the project by at least by 1. Following this direction, there is already certain number of things done thanks to CESAR and MetaNet. So there's just a selection of things covering the major topics, the buzzwords that are MetaNet and CESAR related. So as far as the increasing awareness is concerned, we came up with the idea of creating a general purpose page for informing general audience about the Polish language resources, technologies that are available, the projects that are currently being carried out, language courses, and of course the research centers and key players in the language technology. So you may visit these pages in English, so I encourage you to come there and to see the full range of possibilities of cooperation with the Polish language scene. As far as coverage and scope of operation, we are working on the resources that I have already mentioned that are underrepresented. So the discourse parsers or reference resolvers, multimodal resources are currently being part of the CESAR batches. So you will, in the next months, see what comes out of them. Currently, as far as cross-lingual usage of Polish LRTs is concerned, because it's also nice to show the proper examples and the real examples, the Greek people are now using our shallow parser for Greek. That's quite concrete. As far as availability, reusability, sustainability is concerned, there's quite a good example, because there were 2 morphological dictionaries that were competing, and there were 2 disjoint communities that wanted to say that this one is better, that one is better, and they were better in some respects. So thanks to CESAR, we managed to bring these 2 communities together and create a single joint morphological dictionary that's now being created. And will be available on the 2-clause BSD license. So it means quite a liberal license will be available in some part of it in the first batch in November, and the next versions in the next batches of resources that we are preparing in CESAR. As far as quality is concerned, there is also a big movement towards increasing the quality. We are now building the specialized tools for increasing that. For example, for this morphosyntactic dictionary, it's inevitable to build a tool to manage these 2 resources, to get them combined together. So there is a specialized tool called Lexeme Forge that will be used to maintain the dictionary and will let linguists to work with it. There is another quite an important resource started in the 60s, the frequency corpus of Polish, 500,000, so it's not quite huge, but it was carefully, manually annotated. So we are now, thanks to CESAR, working with it to improve the annotation, to verify it again. Together with the National Corpus of Polish, the 1 million sample will have 1.5 million number of segments, which we hope to improve our taggers. And well, there are errors in our resources, and there will be errors, that's for sure. So when you have a tagger that has a 99% quality, and you have a corpus with 1 billion segments, then you can imagine that there's 10 million errors there. That's a lot. So we are building specialized tools to help verify and check and find these errors and correct them. As far as interoperability, we always wanted to be open source. Our resources are available on quite liberal licenses, but and that's quite what we think is compliant with what Flerner, Clarion, and MetaNet recommends. So we are just following their recommendations. To conclude, There are various Polish resources and tools available or constructed, will be available in the next months. There are many important centers and players willing to cooperate, waiting for creating synergies cross-lingually and cross-nationally. They are quite proficient in providing expertise for languages such as Polish or similar languages, morphologically rich languages and the free word order languages, because Polish is quite special. Still, as you could see, there are several European projects we have participated, but we would like to have more because we can see that it brings value to our resources and to our activities. So thanks to CESAR, we already improved our resources very much, and we would like to follow this direction. So thank you very much, and please visit the CLIP page. Uses different colors than our presentation, but I guess you can have a look there. So it's CLIP, EPPAN, Warsaw, WAWPL. Thank you very much.